Shagun Singh from Homework. Homework, the brand, was conceptualized by Shagun Singh, the lead interior designer for the firm. She is a designer by passion and a hotelier by education. She comes from a relatively prominent and influential hotelier family, and perhaps some of the sensibility for design got instilled in her watching her mother and grandfather. She considers her design sensibility to be contemporary classic, which means she always tries to keep some of the traditional aspects to merge with the modern. So let's welcome Ms. Shagun.
Hi everyone, my name is Shagun. I run a firm for design, which is actually part of our firm. And I worked out of brand in 2012. It was really, I had a two-pronged desire at that point, which continues to remain. One was, and we started actually as a deep cleaning floor maintenance service provider. And at that time, we had the first mover advantage when we started to Clap or other aggregators at the time. So our two-pronged approach was really to give a structure, one for blue-collar workforce, which in our country is something that is very much ignored or not very organized. And the idea behind Homework was really to organize that segment, give them a place where they belonged, where they learned, where there were strict quality controls, and also to give customers an efficient experience. Gurgaon was exploding at the time with very many expensive homes, and whilst this concept of, staff at home is something which is very common abroad, it's very common in India, but the fact is that they are probably not very well trained. And so that's how Homework originated and before I knew it, actually word of mouth spread. And by 2015, we had a customer base of almost 2,500 homes that we were servicing either on a periodic basis. Some were yearly, some were quarterly, some were monthly. And it was around that time that I kind of decided to go into the renovation space, because I realized then, and actually through customers, and we realized then that this was the same problem that the renovation space was also going through. That whilst there is a lot of manpower out there who, and in our villages, manpower, is doing all this work of being masons. People learn to build their own homes in our country. That's the way that it is. But nobody was really structuring their work. And so I think when I started renovation, it was really to bridge that gap, to give blue-collar workforce a structure, to quality control their work, and give our customers a hassle-free and efficient experience. If I said that I was going to renovate a home in 4 months, then 4 months it is. And, there's been time and motion studies and research that we did. And then eventually in 2020, I've always liked to design. Since I was a kid. I think I've just really loved playing with textures, colors. I'm very house proud. I'm a compulsive shopaholic. So this came to me very easily to just, go there and start designing. And that's how in 2020, we designed our first home, designed and renovated. And now we've done, since the time that we actually started renovations, which was back in 2015, we renovated close to 100 homes, in different sort of manners, some full renovations, some design and renovation, part renovations, but we've been doing a lot of that. Now, as I see design, I think design is like art. It's your sensibility. I might like a painting, but the next person right next to me may not. So there's no right and wrong when you think about design. It's how you think and perceive a space as the lead designer. But what is my general sensibility as a designer? So I'm very focused on a home looking like a home. It must be warm, it must be inviting, it must be cozy. Those are the things that I really work towards. And some of the things that I focus on as a designer, as I design spaces, are lighting, very important for me. And I've seen that in a lot of Indian homes that get designed, at least here in Gurgaon, there's a lot of direct lighting that people end up using. So, you've got it feels like year-round Diwali is going on. Whereas I often have this, discussion with my clients. I'm like, you must have spaces that have direct lighting, some indirect lighting, some decorative lighting, so that you've got a kind of cohesive space. How do you make a space look cohesive? It's through those elements. Now, if you just have bright white light sitting through the ceiling on false ceilings, you've got just one lighting element that you're thinking of. So I think that for me, lighting is a very important part as I design homes, and giving my customers solutions of different forms of light in each space. One of the other things I'm really obsessive about is rugs. And again, this is a really pain area as I design homes. People are like, oh my God, rugs are so hard to keep clean, carpets, rugs, whatever. And I'm like, you know what? Today you get vacuum cleaners of different kinds, and it's really easy to keep them clean. It's not a big deal. You don't have to buy the most expensive vacuum cleaner. But having a rug, you can buy the best furniture in the world. You can buy the most expensive furniture in the world. But if you don't have a rug that or a carpet that kind of brings that space together, you're always going to feel like something is missing. Something is not cohesive enough. And I've designed homes for people and they've not gotten the carpets for 6-7 months saying, oh, I don't want the carpet. And then they keep saying there's something missing and they'll often call and say, what's missing? And I'm like, this is what's missing. You need a carpet. You don't have to buy the most expensive carpet. You don't have to buy a Kashmiri carpet at all. Today you get, there are hand tufted, machine tufted rugs. There are all kinds of rugs in the market. Be creative. You'll find the right piece, which doesn't have to, burn a hole in your pocket sort of thing. Art, very important for me. Again, your walls can't be bare. I remember when we were moving home, I was personally moving home about 7 years ago, and I was just setting up the house and I hadn't put up the art, and there was something that was missing in the house. I kept feeling like it was as if the walls were eating me up, and it was because the walls were bare. I hadn't got down to really putting the art up. I have a lot of art, but I wasn't putting it up. Now again, with art, you don't have to buy the most expensive artist. Today, the market is full of all kinds of different forms of art. There's so much mixed media. There's so much print that you can buy prints. You can think of art in whichever form. It's just, I think design is about creativity. I remember coming back from a holiday from the Andamans, and from the beach, I picked up a whole lot of these sticks and shells. And I loved the way that they were looking. Some of those sticks were so artistic, they'd gotten washed to the shore. And I remember coming back, telling my carpenter, put it on a little frame. And on that frame, I put a really interesting textured cloth. And then I stuck these sticks and all of that. So that was art for me. It's really about how you think about design. And then, of course, I also think that I love playing with colors and textures. But when you see a lot of my work, you'll see that I don't try and put a lot of color on the walls, especially primary colors. I'll try and keep it neutral because I believe that especially a wall, when you put a primary color on it, it kind of, over time and in time, I feel like it jars my eyes. It also limits me in what I can do with my textures and fabric on my sofas, and I think, or my curtains. And I think India is like that one market where you have to work and play with textile, because there's just so much in the fabrics that get made in India, whether it be any sort of stores, starting with Fab India to anybody, the kind of fabrics that get made in India is just phenomenal. And I think the use of those fabrics is so essential. And I think that it can only be done if you try and keep your walls kind of neutral. So that's one of the other design sensibilities that I have. And lastly, plants. I can't say enough about them. And I think plants is one of the easiest ways to decorate your home and to put a decor item which is inexpensive, which is healthy, and it just looks stunning. So I think for me, those are my big four as I design homes, and hope to keep designing as we go along. So thank you.